The pink square designates something other than the shrine being completed. That's just areas we've searched, right?
Yes.
Pink squares are areas you searched. Red X's are shrines that have been had their stone retrieved.
So we're just taking out shrines right now. We're not even searching these other buildings.
Yeah,
Uh,
we didn't want to be here for 6 months.
I don't know, man. This looks like after it's cleared out, might be a cool 6 month spot.
um, yes, well, last week you guys did. You finished the you completed the shrine, which was Shagambi's shrine, I believe, and uh, you battled these large clay golems. And once they were defeated, the only thing they left behind were their spears. And once you had all four spears, you put them in the hands of the four statues above, and it released Shagambi's puzzle cube. Then you continued your way up through the. Well, before that all finished, a uh, a strange woman, strange in the sense that she herself seemed all right, but the shadow she casts, Sigismund sensed as being fiendish in some sort of way. But she happened to wander into the shrine after having her own little encounter in the streets of Omu and bump into all of you. She seemed to be searching for puzzle cubes herself, and um, she had said that her party that she came here with had all been killed, and now she's been basically camping in Omu, trying to avoid the Yanti and the other dangers that live here on her own. And so, after a brief confrontation between her and Sigismund, they settled on if she can keep whatever darkness that she has trailing her in check, that it might be okay to travel together for the time being, because she does look like a very fairly capable fighter. And you guys continued your way up through the main boulevard, one of the main boulevards in Omu, and you came across another shrine, which was fairly straightforward and simple. It didn't really take much to get that cube, and that's not because the DM didn't read that shrine's description before the game started. It's just simply because that's how that shrine worked, and
Uh-huh.
I can prove that because I have the documentation. Um, so now you do find yourselves coming out of the that shrine, which was the shrine of the Ijin, and basically in that shrine there was just an entrance, a long series of these cubes on the floor, and you had to step on them in a certain order, or darts shot out of the walls. And beyond that, there was a little maze, which was pretty easy to travel through.
Where's that one on the map?
It's right where their travel token is currently.
Just looking for a red eye. Oh, there it is. Thank you.
And so now you guys find yourselves coming out of Jin's shrine back into the streets of Omu. I believe that it is um, still kind of probably late morning, like brunch time, probably. And um, However, the skies above, there's this one very big, looming, dark black cloud that's kind of resting above Omu. You know, you can look off into the distance, and beyond the city itself, the cloud cover kind of gets a little more gray and thins out a bit. But here, it's been storming. Hefty rains have been falling pretty consistently for the past few days, at least. Um, Yesterday, lightning struck nearby your guys' camp and burned a tree up, and um, but ahead of you on the boulevards, the the rains are kind of flooding down the sides of the boulevard down into the mossy floors of the ruined streets of Omu, and um, you guys can do what you will. I imagine you might continue to head up, uh, continue to head up the boulevard.
Yep.
Garn, you notice um, uh, some distance ahead of you, maybe let's say 400 feet or so, off one of the sets of stone stairs that leads down into to the streets and alleys of Omu. It's barely noticeable through the darkness and the heavy rainfall, but it seems to be there's like a little um, plume of smoke coming up, like maybe it's from a campfire or something. Woos, why don't you go ahead and make a survival check for me?
Oh boy.
You die immediately.
See you later, folks.
Yeah, you know, you come out of you guys come out of the shrine, and you just kind of get that fresh rain scent as everything's kind of getting permeated. You know, all the moss and vines and foliage is all just getting dampened by the heavy rains, and you just get that kind of fresh rain scent as you come out of the musty shrine.
And I sneeze a lot.
Yep. I want to let you guys know I'm wearing all black today, and that's simply because I'm mourning you all in advance.
Jeez, it's dark, man.
That's so sweet. Wait, what?
We take a long
Right,
break.
I just made this character.
Oh, come
Damn,
on.
all of you are gonna
I
die
waited
except
so
for me.
long to play her.
I know for a fact that you had her sitting in a vault for ages, so.
You have a vault?
So I'm not going to
Yeah.
be able to keep up with the healing, huh?
That's awesome.
No, I'm just kidding. I happen to notice I'm wearing all black, so.
After I sneeze, I'm like, guys, I feel like we should go get some more healing potions somewhere.
Maybe we can make some out of the natural fauna that grows in the area.
We can. We just haven't had time to go look lately.
I mean, you could spend some time foraging. Are you guys like desperate for healing potions right now or something?
No, I'm doing a pretty good job keeping everybody up.
Yeah.
I'm just sensing the black cloaked evil presence nearby.
You might have if you had rolled a better survival check, but
That's why I'm sneezing.
yeah.
Well, I scratch my butt.
There's not much to do other than continue, I guess.
Yep. Let's head for that smoke.
I just want everyone to know that Garn personally gave me a healing potion because we're best friends. That is all.
What a
Aw.
dick.
Adorable.
Oh God!
Um,
Why is it every time I do something nice to him, he makes me regret it?
So as you continue to head up the boulevard here, and you get closer to where you spot the little plume of smoke, Garn, it does seem to be that there is you can see that there is like a campfire of a small campfire down there, and you also notice an overturned wagon. You can kind of see, like, how close do you think you guys would get? As you get closer and you can actually see that there's a campfire there, you notice that there are also 3 people basically sitting around it.
Can you ping the location of it on the map?
Yeah, I'll move you
Or-
guys. I'll move you guys up a little closer here. So I'd say if once you get to a certain point where you can actually see people, you probably wouldn't continue to immediately, go towards them.
No, because we want our people that are stealthy to, do their job.
Sure. So what you kind of see of these people is that there's 3 of them. They seem to have erected kind of a little bit of a half tent, basically a makeshift kind of shelter. Looks like they've used like branches and some big banana leaves to kind of keep themselves covered from the rain, and they're little fire that they have going is kind of tucked inside of that as well. But you can see basically the three people that are kind of gathered around this little flame. They seem to be spit roasting a couple of little rods over the fire, and they seem to have they're small looking creatures that are roasting over the flames. One of them is wearing some tattered looking dark robes. He has kind of black, shaggy black hair that goes down past his shoulders, maybe to the middle of his back, but it's kind of pulled back a little bit and in a bit of a ponytail. And Garn, you can notice that something is pretty strange about the way this man looks. His skin is very pale, and you can see all his vascularity kind of through his cheeks and his forehead and running down his neck, and protruding from his forehead is a black opal. It looks like it's embedded in the flesh of his skin almost. His two companions that are resting nearby, one of them's kind of sitting on a big log that it seems like he's probably felled and brought here. Leaning against the log is a big, gnarly looking battle axe. It's got a long black haft and a glimmering curved metal blade, and it looks like at the top of the haft you can spot, Garn, that it looks like the metal has been forged, and it looks like there's like hands kind of like that would be reaching like out of something, you know, like if there was like a sheet of like thin latex or something, and there was hundreds of hands trying to reach up through it. Like that's what it looks like the haft of the axe has been forged to look like. He seems to be the one that's spit roasting the animals over the flame, and then sitting off to one side, just kind of on the floors, is a more handsome looking man. He has kind of shortly cropped brown hair and like a kind of a curled mustache, and he seems to be lightly playing a dark melodic tune on a lute that he has. And you can kind of hear that music as you're getting closer and closer, wafting up through the ruins towards you.
I look around and go, we can either go past them or we can say hello.
Can I recognize the song he's playing?
It sounds like probably something that he's just improvising, but all the notes are very drawn out, and it's kind of a slow, sad tune. He seems to be playing like in sync with the rain that's falling almost.
Interesting.
Okay, so we go say hey, or we just keep going?
How much of that do I recognize?
Make a perception check.
I'll describe the people I've seen.
And now that you're closer, make another survival check for me as well.
So both the perception and the survival.
It's hard to tell in the rain, but you get a waft of what they're cooking, and it smells like they are spit roasting rats.
These fucking assholes, man. And then, Garn, you said you did describe them to me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Garn, you do notice sitting next to the pale-looking, longer-haired guy with the opal embedded in his forehead. He has, like, a burlap sack that's next to him in their little campsite, and it's kind of writhing like there are things that are alive inside of it.
And I'll mention this to people often.
Guys, from what I've heard and what I'm smelling, I think there's a good chance this might be Magnus and Co.
Who's that?
Magnus is the guy I would have a vendetta against. The warlock who kills rats for temporary HP out of character. Or metagaming.
So
And the other guy who's playing that instrument might be, if Magnus is the one guy who you're saying with the pale skin and the opaled forehead, the other guy might be his bard cousin.
So it sounds to me like we do need to go say hey, but in a hard way.
Sigismund, why don't you go ahead and make a perception check for me as well?
Oh, that's not gonna.
I mean, that's
I can do it.
You can make it with advantage.
that's kind of what I'm thinking, guys.
15.
Yeah.
So you can't see this Garn even with your passive perception, but because of your divine sense, basically, Sigismund, you can see these kind of halos above the big barbarian-looking guy and the more handsome-looking guy playing the bard playing a lute. There are these dark halos that you can see resting above their heads. They're kind of dripping with entropic, necrotic energies. The guy with the black stone in his forehead doesn't have one, but the other two seem to.
I'll relay this information to the group, and I'll say, if our intention is to actually attack these people, I would suggest that we actually find a way to get a rest and have someone keep an eye on them while we do so. Because I was a little beat up after the last fight.
Why don't you say something before we left?
The final thing that you notice, Garn, is that on the side of the wagon, in what appears to be blood, there's been a red skull kind of painted on the side of the wagon, and it's got these kind of smear marks that form a circle around the skull.
Okay.
It wasn't so much the hit points. I'm actually full hit points. I don't have lay on hands or healing light at all.
And you could make a religion check if you wanted to identify what that might be.
You mean Saray might be able to? Because, that requires intelligence.
Well, I don't think... Saray, you can make a perception check to see if you'd be able to see it. Are you not proficient in religion, Garn?
Hell no. It's an intelligence-based skill.
Oh, okay. So you don't spot it, Saray. You do notice it on the wagon, but Garn, but well, even with that 17, I mean, this is a fairly, historically speaking, a fairly prevalent marking in the histories of Faerun, and you recognize it as the symbol of Baal.
Yeah, I think we need to take a rest before we take this on.
Where
Symbol of what?
am I in this?
Baal.
Baal, the Lord of Murder.
Yeah, okay.
Cool.
So either go back to the shrine, which we can easily, barricade the door and stuff like that, or go to one of these other buildings and, try to tackle this tomorrow if they're still there. That's the problem, Luz. They may not be there tomorrow when we come back out.
If they're not here tomorrow, I can just try and track them.
Okay. So let's get back to that shrine. I guess is probably the best bet. And hopefully they didn't see us.
Oh, I should roll for that.
God damn it.
If not, we are going to be starting really quick here on this combat.
Yeah. Then I'm just going to, and it's all out and
Why
hope
don't
for
you
the
guys
best.
make a collective stealth check for me?
Oh,
boy.
no.
Christ.
Because
Yay!
What does that mean? We all roll?
yeah, everyone roll.
Oh, fuck.
We at least get advantage
Oh
with
boy.
that?
I'd say since you've been traveling fairly carefully through the streets, you could have advantage.
Don't think that's going to help, but sure.
Ryan?
Yeah.
Where am I in this endeavor? I'm assuming I'm not there.
No, you've been traveling with the party. You probably would be doing what you've been doing, which is kind of skirting the party through the boulevards and keeping an eye out for dangers.
Yep.
Those are some not so great rolls.
Select
Well,
your tokens.
even with advantage, that just means I'm rolling normal because I'm in full plate now.
Same.
Garn.
True. Same.
Let's see. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4 fails. Faye, why don't you make a stealth roll as well for me?
Oh shit. Yep, hold up. Gotta find my thing. There it is. Stealth roll.
Okay.
That is so good.
So as you're kind of looking down, as you guys are kind of up on the boulevard, you have this kind of you have the high ground, and you're kind of partially covered by some of the rooftops of the building that are before you, between you and where this little campsite is. But as you're peering down at them, the big barbarian stands up from the log, and he basically looks you right in your eyes, Garn, between you and the buildings. And when you see him stand now, you can see how massive this barbarian truly is. He's probably what you would gather to be maybe 7 feet tall, or just a little over 7 feet tall. You see that his arms and legs, and he's basically like a tree trunk himself. He has this dark, patches of dark hair that you can see running down his forearms now. He seems like he's pretty hairy, and he's got this big mane, lion's mane of black hair that's slicked back behind his head, and this big scruffled beard that's growing long down the front of his chest. And he looks you right in your eyes, but his eyes look kind of dead. They don't look like there's much life behind them. But he just raises his arm up and he gestures for you to come down.
Okay. I have been seeing, I'm assuming that I look at the people in the full plate mail beside me. That we all have. So they're suggesting we come and say hey. So I'm not going to run away.
I'm gonna skirt alongside basically the edge of wherever they're moving and try to keep out of sight.
Okay.
So I start walking toward their camp.
Sure.
I'll follow.
I'm gonna assume I haven't
The
been.
new person who apparently joined.
Woos, you're good on your stealth.
I was gonna say, yeah, I'm just gonna assume I haven't been seen and try and take a.
Saray, you are also good on your stealth. If you wanted to remain unseen. Mina, you were spotted, but if you want to move away from the group and try and roll again.
Yeah, I'll move
do
away
so.
from the group and try to hide again.
How far are we from them right now?
You're still about 100 feet away, 150 feet away.
Is it too early to ready an action?
No,
If any of them.
you're not in combat or anything, so.
Well, I'm just I'm really on edge, so if one of them makes a kind of attack, kind of aggressive move at any of the party, I'm gonna go after them. It's this map you made?
Yep.
Looks good. That program's already paying off.
Yeah, I like it. For sure.
We didn't do a long rest since last time.
I do not believe so.
All right.
Let's see. Am I missing anyone? So, Saray.
You're missing me, I think,
Oh yeah.
and Asaka.
Oh yeah, Azaka. Azaka and Orbex. So, Woos, Faye, and Saray, you can kind of place yourselves where you'd like. Faye, your second stealth roll is good. So.
What?
But you haven't been seen, and Garn is walking towards the stone stairs that lead down into their camp.
Follow him.
Real quick though, since I wasn't here last session, will my hit points just stay where they're at then, or how does that work?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I guess you could have. You guys could have short rested, basically. I guess after the last shrine, if you want to spend hit dice.
All right, I'm gonna do that.
How much do you gain per day?
You get them all back if you do a long rest. You have to spend your hit die if we're doing a short rest.
And then how many hit dice do you regain back?
You have a total of 7 hit die. Depending on what your class is what you roll.
Yeah, I know that, but after a long rest, you don't just get them all back. You get like a roll back, or what?
You get half as many as you have back.
Gotcha. Thank you.
The three sitting around the campfire, the large barbarian just sits back down on his log and continues to actually as you guys are approaching, he reaches into the writhing sack next to the other man and pulls out 4 or 5 more rats that are all squirming. He basically with one hand pulls out a fistful of rats basically and picks up another spit roaster from nearby, like a long stick or something, and he begins to just jam it through the alive rats as you guys are coming down the stairs.
Charming.
And begins to cook you guys some rats as well.
That's lovely.
And they're like he jams them like through their mouth, and they're like dripping blood now. You can hear the sizzling of the fresh rats being roasted over the fire. Some of them are still halfway alive when he puts them over the flame, and they start to screech until eventually they all go limp and quiet. He kind of scoots over the log that he's felled here and that he's sitting on. There's room for a couple people to sit.
Is not the old man, but is what's her name coming in with us?
Azaka.
Yeah.
She'll probably stay up top here with.
Okay.
At the top of the stairs, but. As you come down the stairways, they make room for you to join them. The bard just continues to play his song, and the barbarian just kind of continues to roast the rats, and they don't seem very lively. They seem almost like they're that your presence just doesn't mean anything to them almost, and it's like they're almost zombie-like a little bit.
Hell, I would admit.
The man with the black opal on his forehead, gestures with one arm. He says, "Please join us at our camp."
Dude, you know that you got a gem sticking out of your head? That isn't a good look.
He kind of idly raises his hand and rubs the stone, and he says, yes, poor life decisions. Please, why don't you have a seat? You look
Where
weary
have I heard that before?
and hungry. And,
Not too hungry at the moment. You're kind of cooking rats. That doesn't look and sound tasteful.
and he leans forward and he pulls one of the roasting sticks off the flame and peels a rat off of it, and he begins to just like he bites its head off basically. Some of the juices from the roasted rat drip down the front of his chin and like down onto the front of his tattered robes. He says, well, there are quite a large group of you all here. I suppose that you're searching for the cubes to gain entrance
yes.
to the tomb of the 9 gods.
Yes, we are. Have you found any?
We have one.
You have one? Ooh, which god?
He says that they have the cube for Papa Zodal's shrine, which is the Eblis, the crane-like bird. And he actually reaches into his bag and pulls it out, and he just kind of flashes it at you and puts it back in his satchel that's beside him.
Could we like buy that from you?
Well, he says, I was going to actually ask you if you'd found any.
Why, sir. Of course.
Are you Garn, sorry, are you sure you want to tell that to this gentleman?
You mean the gentleman that's probably going to fire our asses whether we say yes or no?
Who's carrying most of the stones? Do you guys have them kind of like spread out between you, or does somebody have them all?
I had them all in the loot bag before.
So
he's got them.
Would you be carrying them?
I suppose so.
And did you go down there with the group, or did you stay up top?
No,
I didn't.
I stayed at. I'm hanging out with Soray.
I didn't notice if you had rolled a stealth check earlier.
I did at the very beginning.
Let's see what it was.
And then my computer died, and then I restarted it.
Let me go back and look.
I think it was a 17.
It was a 17 exactly.
Okay, then you're good. He says, well, seeing as I only have one, perhaps we could pool our resources and maybe figure out a way to open the tomb together.
Well, I do believe that we need 9 of them, if I'm not mistaken.
He says, well, I'll tell you what. You find the other 3, and we'll just hang out around here.
Oh, so you want us to do all the work?
And when you return with the 8 cubes, I'll lend you mine, and we can open the tomb together.
What was that last comment?
And we can open the tomb together.
Well, that sounds like a plan then. By the way, what's your name?
My name is Magnus.
Nice to meet you, Magnus. And your companions here.
He points over to the large barbarian-looking fellow, and he says, "This is Babar the Grey, and this is my cousin, Cassian."
Nod to both of them. Can I ask a question?
Certainly.
Why is he gray?
Babar comes from a tribe of Uthgard, far to the north. His tribe was called the Grey Elephants, and he was once the leader of them.
Well, I'm sorry for the loss of your tribe, sir.
He doesn't even look over towards you. His dead eyes just are kind of, you can see the reflection of the flame kind of crackling in his big black opal or irises, and he doesn't even really recognize that you've spoken to him.
Step up to him, put my hand on his shoulder, or as high as I can, and go, "I'm sorry for your loss of your tribe."
Wow.
He kind of lets out like a rough grunt. It seems like that got through a little bit better, but still he doesn't really make any motion.
Well, I think we will continue to go and look for the rest of the puzzle pieces, and we will come back and hopefully we'll have the rest of them.
Yeah, he says you won't be able to enter the tomb without all 9 cubes, so that seems like a good plan to me. We'll make sure not to wander off too far. Why don't you make a perception check for me, right? Check. Okay.
Hey, Rycheck is all the way back on the bridge with me.
Yeah.
Saray, why don't you go ahead and make one as well? Yeah, so Magnus says, are you sure you don't want to spend a little time here and eat first?
I'm sorry, I have no taste for rats.
Most of the denizens in Omu here tend to avoid our little camp that we've made, so it's a safe place to rest and refresh yourselves.
Good sir, not to be offensive to you, but the god of Baal does not make my life feel safe. So I'd rather spend it with in the jungle where I know my god protects me.
He kind of, the ends of his mouth kind of curl up, and he's got two rows of kind of dazzling white, very straight teeth, and you see this kind of flash of malevolence in his eye momentarily, and he says, well, you are your own man, dwarf, and I'm not going to force you to rest here with us. Just return with the other cubes, and we'll see if we can get this tomb open together. And he's like grinding his teeth.
Most definitely. You have a great day.
Can I inside check him?
Sure.
I mean, I'm far away. I know that.
How close? Yeah, how close do you get?
I mean, I would stay near this building that I'm at. I would probably be like right at this corner, just trying to look past, see what the fuck is going on.
Okay, yeah. You can make an insight check. What kind of information are you trying to glean?
I mean, he just seems like he's trying to get something out of us, and I don't know. I want to see if he's trying to actively fuck us over, which I know he is. And I suck at insight, by the way. Whoa! What the fuck?
None of them are undead. But Sigmund, I forgot to mention this. As you come down the stairs and you get closer to the camp, nearby, inside one of the ruined buildings, you sense the presence of maybe half a dozen or more, or a few more undead creatures.
Like in there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, during this entire thing, I'm just basically trying to look normal. I'm coiled like a spring at this point. Because I remember months and months ago, we were sitting in a garden, me, Roos, and Garn, and he was telling us about this guy and how he wanted to get revenge on him, and I promised to help him.
Yeah.
Plus, they are, evil fuckers, servants of Baal. So, you know,
Yeah.
Dude,
I'm ready to.
if you feel froggy, jump. I just didn't want to be around the barbarian.
Well, I thought you did a great job. Like, we can go away, get our full rest, and then come back and try to get rid of him and make sure the undead in the thing is not going to be an issue.
Yeah, so you feel the presence of the undead in the building nearby. None of them are giving a fiendish or undead sense, but the two halos that the bard and the barbarian have above their heads that you can actually physically see. Those also are giving off like a fiendish sense.
Yeah, they're probably like death stalkers or something. Like, we probably want to get our rest.
You could make a the opal, the black opal in the forehead of the other man is radiating the same energy as the two halos.
Oh fuck!
Can I see the halos from here?
Only Sigismund can see them because of his divine sense. So they're physically visible to his eyes, but to everyone else, Evelyn, if you like actively use your divine sense, you'd be able to see them. But Sigismund's is always on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that scene in The Office where Michael is not allowed to say "that's what she said." He's basically going to explode.
Faye, from this distance that you're at, you know, it's kind of hard to tell what his motivations are. You know, he's very casual, like he's very casual about this whole thing, even though he's like outnumbered and you know, he's kind of seems very relaxed and like it doesn't really matter whether you're here or not, and it seems like, you know, if he can get somebody else to, you know, do the work for him, at least that's pretty good for the time being.
Yeah, he's pretty smart.
So Sigismund told us about the halos before they went down there?
Yes.
Would I have any knowledge of what these halos might be?
You could make an Arcana check for me. So because you can't physically see them, it'd be kind of hard to tell, but you imagine just because of the behavior of the other two, that their purpose is probably to put them under some kind of command or control.
Interesting.
And maybe they aren't totally acting out of their own free will.
Can I sense how powerful the undead are, or is it just like a massive number of them?
You sense that you've fought these creatures before, and they were the you had encountered them at the barricade of the Flaming Fist mercenaries.
Gnolls.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we should probably follow Garn. We've got our out now.
So, see you later. We'll be back when we can.
Yeah, he just turns back to the flame. You can see as you're walking back up the stairs, you turn and look over your shoulder, and he's kind of idly, like with some force of pressure, rubbing the black stone on his forehead, kind of like when you have a headache or something, you know, and you can actually see the skin of his forehead like moving when he moves the stone, like it's actually embedded in there.
That's disgusting.
Smile and wave, boys. Just smile and wave.
The barbarian the barbarian pulls the stick off the fire that he had jammed the 5 rats on, and he begins to just chew on them, almost eating like one at a time, like popcorn almost.
So heading north from them to get away from them.
Sure. I gotta do something here real quick.
I want to kill those guys so fucking bad, dude.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
What did I say that they had the Papazodals cube? Yeah.
Yeah.
Papazodal?
For John.
Soon tight.
Boy. I have so many goddamn maps now.
Oh, and I relay the information to everyone of what I think those halos might be.
And I'll mention the building full of undead.
So you continue your way up the boulevard with a new task, which is basically an old task, is retrieving the rest of the puzzle cubes.
Heading to that building right there.
As you're walking up the that one?
Yeah, it looks like what the others kind of look like to be a temple, so...
Sure.
We actually... Sorry, go ahead.
As you are walking up the boulevard, Rychek, you notice that your pack feels a little lighter.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And two of your cubes appear to be missing.
Don't we have a bag of holding in the group?
I thought they were in the bag of holding.
They are.
We took our bag of holding.
Why do you?
Everything was in the bag of holding.
Yeah, they're still gone.
Fucking hate.
That
Fucking
makes sense.
hate this dude. Fucking hate him.
We'll just kill him and loot it off his body later.
I come back to
This
the group.
segment. Are you sensing other large clumps of undead as we were walking through the city, or no?
No. That is the first time.
You do sense, though, when you're walking back up the stairs to the main boulevard, Sigismund, you can't, well, actually, you do see passing by you, basically, all the rest of the party. You don't see a person, but you see a halo pass by you. As you are making your way up the stairs, it goes down the stairs.
So there's nothing there, just a halo?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's about five. It's about 5, almost 6 feet above the ground, and it like moves past you.
I suspect that. Sorry, go ahead.
It goes down the stairs and it takes a seat next to the barbarian. The halo does basically, and you see. You see the two puzzle cubes get produced out of thin air, and he hands them over to Magnus, and Magnus puts them in his pack.
Okay. We just got robbed by someone invisible, and they took 2 of our cubes.
We did what?
Well, they took 2 of our cubes, which I would normally be really, really upset about. However, in about, say, 8 hours, we are going to kill them and take our cubes back.
How do we know they'll still be here in 8 hours?
because someone will keep an eye on them. So
Well, because of the deal. Because of the deal, though, too, right?
Why
If
the
they-
fuck would they keep the deal?
Well, because then that's less work for them.
They might have had more than that one cube they said they had.
For shizzle.
But we still have 2 cubes, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
regardless
they,
of...
they wouldn't get in.
You still have
They need-
3, don't you?
3 cubes.
Oh, yeah. So, like, regardless, even if they took all but 1 cube, they'd still have to get our 1 cube, so...
Okay.
That's why I think they'd keep the deal.
So as you guys continue to head up the boulevard, you do see off to the right hand side of the boulevard, Garn, what does appear to be another shrine, and then a little bit farther ahead, off to the left, what looks to be a ruined amphitheater that looms over the surrounding buildings. There are vines that are clinging to its steps, and animal statues line its stands. And the muddy ground outside of it is stripped clean of vegetation. There is kind of an eerie silence up here in this part of Omu that hangs over the area. There's no bird sounds, no insect chirps, nothing stirs.
So, do we want to handle? Does this one look like the crane one?
No. You can see carvings of monkeys hanging by their tails decorate 2 cracked obelisks that stand before the shrine, enclosed by broken walls. Past the obelisks is a courtyard filled with horsetails and arum lilies, and 5 archways open into darkness at the base of the ruin. Mounted above the central arch is a stone plaque bearing some inscriptions.
Okay, but here's my question, people. Do we want to deal with the shrine, or do we want to do the rest and then go back and talk to the gentleman?
Either way, I think we should rest.
Yeah, I'd say the quicker we could get our cubes back and that kind, it would probably be better.
Okay, so it sounds like we're going to take a rest. The building beside the temple, let's see if we can hole up in there.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too hard. Let me see if there's anything in there.
That wants to kill us.
Uh-oh.
91's a good number.
So as you go into the building, basically in the darkness, a half a dozen little fungus-like creatures begin to scatter as you enter. They jump out through little cracks in the building's walls and disappear into the streets of Omu.
Okay. As long as they don't mess with us, we don't mess with them.
Is that the first time we've seen anything like that?
We saw it when we first came into the thing in one of the first buildings. There was something similar. They were called something. I like the name. I remember.
Veggie pygmies.
Veggie pygmies. That's it.
Oh my god, that's adorable.
That's adorable.
Aww,
Ah.
look how grumpy it is.
It's because of its weak ass arms. That's what.
Yeah.
I can't pick up anything.
They're small little creatures, probably maybe 2 feet tall.
I like the pet it has. I want that.
Yeah, can we befriend them?
They don't seem to be too friendly, but I mean, you could try.
There you go.
They don't seem to. They seem to be kind of agitated.
Do they mumble and grumble when they run off?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. They make little
Aw.
make little noises that are unintelligible for the most part.
I love them.
But it seems like they were tending some sort of large fungus patch. So there's a big patch of like mushrooms growing in here as well.
Hello.
They're like reddish brown in color. And they look kind of like rust almost.
You seen anything like that before?
Yeah, can I see if there's anything useful in those?
You can make a poisoner's kit check or survival. To see if you recognize it. I'd say survival. Give me a survival check.
Alright.
Yeah, you recognize this fungus as something called russet mold. And they tend to, if you get too close to it, release poisonous clouds. Poisonous spore clouds if you disturb the mold.
I belay that information to the rest of the group.
Yeah, and they're kind of like near the back of the building. There's like a big, large patch of it.
Are we all in this same building?
If you chose to enter.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
If we're gonna rest. So.
It's still like the middle of the day, basically. Like it's around the afternoon, but you guys could rest throughout the day and then explore, in the night or whatever.
It seems we picked up a new person. While I was not paying attention.
You were maybe, scouting some of the other parts of the ruins.
I was probably scouting ahead.
Yeah, trying to find other shrines and stuff.
Yeah.
Did you find anything?
No.
Well, make a make an investigation check for me, Faye, to see if you found any other
personality.
Yeah.
Yes, I have the best personality. Wait, what was this? Investigation?
Uh-huh.
Can I make one of those checks too?
Hey, I have inspiration. Can I use that to get advantage?
Yeah. But
So
you'll
again?
roll again for me, yeah.
Shit.
23?
Did I find one?
You found two things. You found a ruined bazaar, some sort of derelict market, and it seemed that you noticed quite a bit of kobold activity around that part of the city, which is
Hold up, gotta write shit down.
in this area here.
What was it? Kobold activity.
Yeah. And you guys have come across the kobolds before. They seem to check up on the shrines occasionally. And then beyond the bazaar, in the middle of the flooded streets here where the waterfall drops down, you did find something else that looked like it was maybe a shrine.
Okay. So, I did actually find something.
Yeah, and you noticed that the carvings of that shrine looked like a crane, of some kind of crane.
Okay. Would you please explain to me exactly what these things are we're looking for and why we're looking for them? Because I missed that bit.
Yeah, you're looking for the. There are 9. You've learned that there are 9 shrines in the city of Omu, and their purpose is that they are guarding these puzzle cubes, which you think are used to open the Tomb of the 9 Gods, which could be the entrance to where the Soulmonger lies. You've found clues throughout the city so far that seem to point you in the direction of that's what needs to happen.
Okay. Fair enough. I did find a couple of interesting things while I was away, but I'm more interested in whomever this is.
I assume you're the party scope.
Something like that.
Do I know? Do I see that she's also an Aasimar?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
You can recognize each other pretty easily, yeah.
It's pretty simple to see. My eyes are fucking glowing.
I mean, yeah.
Rolling deep with Aasimar.
Yep.
Yep. They're the best. We're the best.
Around.
Are you guys about to bust out in a song?
She is.
It makes sense that they would kind of flock down here during a time like this, because their guides would all basically instantly send them this way to see what's up.
They're what?
Not my dad. He hates me.
Guides?
Yeah, Aasimar comes with angelic guides.
Must be nice.
And Faye and Sigismund have the same guide.
Must be less nice? I don't know. More nice? Does that mean anything?
Doesn't really mean anything. It only means for Faye that right now you haven't really felt the presence of Galadia.
I know.
Which one's her Galadia's favorite?
Probably not me. I don't feel her presence anymore.
That's in the that's in the Dungeon Master's notes section of the. I can't.
Sibling rivalry. I feel like coming up.
I don't actually care.
I can take the first watch.
Person. Interesting. So
I'll take the midnight watch.
What were you saying, sorry? Lumi?
What's the name of the new person, please?
My name is Evelyn.
Evelyn.
Wait, which one is it?
Wait,
Evelyn or Evelyn?
It's Evelyn, please. My
Okay.
name is not that foreign.
It's not that. He's just being an asshole.
Oh, I know this stat.
What
If you haven't noticed, the mage is an asshole.
Saray, do you
He's a major asshole.
Do you tiny hut in here on top of being inside of the building, or do you guys just rest in the building without tiny hut?
Yeah,
Tiny hut. We're about to all get into the asshole's hut.
Hey, he may be an asshole, but he does have his uses.
He's a useful asshole.
Before I get into the hut, you'd like to spend 10 minutes summoning Warhorse.
What the what? Have I seen this before?
I don't think any of you have seen this before. No.
What's it look like?
So you step outside of the building and you perform your ritual.
Yeah, I'll go behind the building and.
What does that look like?
It looks like a giant horse.
No, like what does your ritual look like when you?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's basically I sit down, and I hold my hand out in front of me, and I call a spirit down, and make it take the form of a warhorse. So it's not actually a horse; it's a fey spirit, I believe, or a celestial spirit.
So does it come down like it looks like it's on some kind of shelf and it's rigid, or what do you mean by?
It'll appear as sort of just a light initially,
Yeah. So actually, there's like a little. You see this, Sigismund, and it's the first time you've kind of done this. But as you're sitting there with your hand outstretched, there's like a little silver light that kind of begins to jag its way down in front of you, and basically a little seam opens up in like the material plane in front of you, and through the seam you can see these very tall trees, and you see all these foreign looking plants and bushes that are very oddly colored. They're almost like fluorescent, and then galloping towards you through this strange forest, it gets larger and larger, and then it basically, as the seam reaches its final distance of how far it opens, basically the horse leaps out of the seam from the Feywild over your head and lands behind you, and then the seam begins to seal itself back up.
Nice.
What does your Fey steed look like?
Well, it's a big black horse with white mane, and it has golden eyes.
Nice.
And when Garn sees it, he runs up to it and goes, "Oh my God, look at that! It's a beauty horse!" He's like gushing over the horse.
It's so precious.
And as you're completing your ritual, Sigismund, something startles the horse, and feel a bit of a vibration almost beneath your feet. And you turn and look behind you where you feel it kind of coming from, and stepping up onto this boulevard here, you can hear kind of stone cracking as a massive Tyrannosaurus Rex with feathers lining down the front of its head and back come into view, and it kind of peers over the ruined buildings between you and the other main boulevard that runs through Omu.
What color are the feathers?
They're kind of like red. They're kind of like red and green and white, and they trail down all down his back, kind of like a mane. And he raises his head up in the air and does a couple of big sniffs through his massive snout, and then lets out a massive shriek-like roar, and it kind of echoes through the quiet part of Omu here. And you see, like, from around where the dinosaur is, all these birds kind of flutter up out into the jungle, over the ridges that kind of consume Omu, and it steps down into the mossy floor, and its tail like wags. Its tail like wags behind it, and it knocks a big corner of one of the ruined buildings off, and the stones like crumble down onto the floor. And as it's padding towards where you guys are camped, the ground is kind of vibrating beneath you with each step, and your horse you can see your horse is now getting very tense as it continues to plod forward through the little boulevard here between the two main thoroughfares through Omu. So it's kind of plodding. Actually, I have a let me see.
We're up here, right?
No, we're in the building.
Oh, we're here. Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah. You're currently outside.
All right.
I'm outside because I'm gushing over the horse.
Why can't I select you?
That's a big ass dinosaur.
And it seems to be heading like between the buildings towards the amphitheater on the far side. Let me roll a check for it to see if it smells you and your horse, Sigismund.
I mean, it comes from the Feywild. It's got to smell nice.
And it stops again between these rows of buildings, and it dips its head down, and it does 2 more big sniffs, and it kind of raises its head back up and looks to the left and right, and then continues to plod forward. When its foot crashes down onto the second boulevard, you see that kind of crack under the weight, and it moves towards the amphitheater and disappears down into the pit of the amphitheater, basically. It kind of, when it gets down there, you can, it mostly disappears from your view, but you can hear it like scraping against the stone of the amphitheater, and then it seems like it kind of settles down. And it goes very quiet again once the beast has moved through past where you're resting.
Well, that was interesting. I mean, I can attempt to tame it, but I have a feeling that's not going to be easy. I mean, I like my mount, but that one would be great to have.
That thing would be Ricoculous, dude.
Well, if I got lucky, we could have it for a minute.
Are we brainstorming right now?
Yeah, I think that's what we need to do.
My thought is either that, or what if we staged ourselves like incrementally from where Magnus's camp is to that thing, and we do like a coordinated like distraction / lure of the T-Rex and lure it into the camp. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, the only problem with that is we are talking about somebody that's already controlling a barbarian and I think he's a bard, and whatever that other creature was that was invisible, who's to say that he can't control that T-Rex?
I'm saying we don't let him know we led it there, though.
Again, and then he gets control of the T-Rex, and we've got that to fight along with the other thing.
Oh, you're saying, oh yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
I'd rather not fight a T-Rex along with the rest of it.
So you're thinking there's a chance he could take control of us?
There's a chance. I don't know what that damn opal can do, because I'm pretty sure that's what it's doing it.
Man.
So what you're saying is aim for the opal.
No, I'm saying aim for the person that's got control of the opal.
No, I'm just gonna smash the opal.
Yeah,
No,
that's
please,
yeah.
Please don't.
Don't smash the opal.
Sounds like a good idea. Let's do that.
Well, smashing the opal has one very bad probable effect, which is goes boom, and everybody around it goes with it.
How is that bad?
How do you know that?
What you're trying to say.
I'm not saying. I'm saying that it has a possibility.
Yeah, Garn's just a pessimist.
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever seen an opal explode like that before? Like
I've seen gems explode like that when the wrong part of pressure is done. But my problem is this thing's controlling 2 to 3 people and providing whatever magic it is to this guy. It's a powerful artifact. Why the
What
hell
if we
would you want to
remove
get
it
rid
from
of
the guy?
You know, we
Well,
could
yeah.
also just cut his head off and put it in the bag. That's a possibility.
Oh, let's do that.
I'm
It's not
fine with
elegant,
that.
but
What if we take the gem and throw it in that lava pit in the southeast of the map?
Why don't we
That should
see
be
if we
far
can use it first, and if we can't, we do that.
I'm gonna
So you were worried about it controlling us / exploding,
I'm
but now
worried.
you want.
I'm worried about him using it to control us. I'm not worried about us using it to control other things.
Why?
So you're willing to go to the dark side?
Who said it's a dark side? It's a tool.
No, I hear you. I hear you. I mean, you're talking about exploding gems. I'm just hypothesizing as well.
Well, and it could be evil, and we need to be ready for that. And like you said, we got a way to get rid of it.
Wait, so if he's controlling them, then he's probably controlling all those undead in that place next to him, then, right?
I have no idea what the gem can do, but that's a good probability.
Oh, man. So what you're saying is we should try and control the T-Rex or leave it out of the equation.
I say leave it out, because if we try to do it and it turns on us, then we've got to get rid of a T-Rex, a barbarian, a bard, and a warlock, and whatever the invisible creature is. I think that's a pretty large odds against us.
How far is the T-Rex from our camps and their camp?
From where you guys are camped, it's about 200 feet, and from where they're camped, it's about 350.
Okay.
If I do have this spell that could potentially help.
Comprehend languages?
Yeah, I can understand this. No, protection from good and evil. If
Yep, that's
that
only
can,
one person.
Yeah, but if I ride past the T-Rex and slap it with the protect, from good and evil, and then ride all the way down to the camp with the T-Rex. I mean,
I think you both have and I'm just talking out of game here. You both have the same freaking movement speed, and he's got a plus, crazy plus to hit. He's going to chomp your horse before you can get away.
Is he?
What is the movement speed of your horse?
Yeah, what's your horse's movement speed?
60 feet.
Ooh.
So you are faster than the T-Rex.
What's the T-Rex movement speed?
I think it's 40.
So you don't know for certain? So this is just another plan then, I guess.
I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not saying that's the best way to do it.
Hey, man, there's no wrong answers during a brainstorm, right?
Yes.
If potentially Magnus was able to slap a halo on the T-Rex, protection from evil on the T-Rex could possibly provide protection from that, I would say.
I can also cast it.
Oh.
And I can also annoy them with a firestorm.
But you guys don't really know much about the halos besides that they're there, it's...
Yeah, we're just... I'm guessing because of what Sheree said that they're some kind of control, and the way those guys were acting, that it's some kind of control of these guys.
Yeah.
But one, I think the firestorm, the fireball, and everything else that we can throw at it as quickly as possible is our best bet, and focus fire on that warlock to get it down as quickly as possible.
Okay. About the undead, should we have our stealthy guys sort of lock the building off so they can't come out? Or are you like putting up a field of death for them when they run out?
I think I'm going to be concentrating on trying to get rid of the barbarian.
What's the field of death?
Stone, or the spike growth.
So then you won't be able to do the spike growth, you're saying, because you're focusing on the Barbie?
If I can get rid of the barbarian, that would be a great one to get rid of. But again...
So not focus on the warlock?
The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attack the warlock. I mean, I'm going to hit it with everything I can, but if that barbarian starts screwing us up, I'm going to try to get rid of it.
Sorry.
What about our winged ladies? Can't they do something powerful?
Winged ones?
Yeah, you two winged people. Don't you have any special talents?
Aren't there 3? Did I miscount that?
Well, my wings are not of much use, to be honest.
Well, I don't know your name, so I'm just calling you the winged person. I'm asking for special talents.
My wings don't fly, they're
talents
shattered.
are you talking about?
Huh?
What sort of special talents?
I'm asking you.
Hold my tongue, but I doubt that's relevant. What sort of special talents are we talking about here?
I'm asking you.
He's asking both of you.
Are you useful?
Yes.
Evelyn and Lumina? No, let's...
Changing them, sorry.
Evelyn and Faye. No, Lumina.
Faye.
Faye, yeah, okay.
Faye.
Lumina is her real name. Got it.
Yep. It's almost weird.
So what?
My character name. It's great.
Are you asking? What are you asking for?
Like, how can they contribute to, like the brainstorm, like to take out this Magnus guy?
You guys have any like racial abilities that might be handy?
Well, I have the necrotic shroud. That might be useful to keep stuff away from us.
What is that?
It's basically the opposite of a normal Aasimar, I guess. I've fallen from grace, so my wings have shattered, and I can only use them to inflict fear.
Inflict fear?
Yeah, and I cannot fly with them.
Ah.
They're fear wings.
Yeah.
We actually have one of each Aasimar subclass.
Yep.
So together, are you guys like Voltron?
Shittiest Voltron ever.
Do we have any sort of like dispel magic ability? We do?
Yes. I can do dispel magic.
Maybe we should think about that as far as like if there's some kind of like control over them, maybe that would break the control.
Well, I was actually thinking maybe doing dispel magic on the gem.
On the gem itself.
Yeah. Maybe it'll hit all. If I could take that out for a few rounds, maybe it could stop them from being controlled for a little bit. I don't know if
Worth a
it'll work.
shot. Worth a shot.
Hey, Saray, if I dispel magic on a artifact like that or an item like that, will it disrupt the item?
Creak, 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 creak.
It would be hard to tell without being able to examine it closer and not really knowing anything about the nature of the gem itself. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
But something that could sway control over several other living beings, if that's what the gem is doing, might be very difficult to simply dispel.
Yeah, that.
So
what he
maybe,
said.
So maybe actually your protection from evil thing or good thing might be better to be put on the people they're being controlled, or will it stop that if they're already controlled?
Read that spell. Can you post that spell? What's it called? Protection from evil?
Until the spell ends, one willing creature you touch is protected against certain types of creatures, aberrations, celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead. The protection grants several benefits. Creatures of those types have disadvantage on attack rolls against the target. The target can't be charmed, frightened, or possessed by them.
If the target is already possessed by such creature, the target has an advantage on any new saving throw against its relevant effect. But if it doesn't grant a new saving throw, that doesn't help.
Well, they also have to be willing to be touched.
No.
It does say one willing creature you touch is protected against certain types of creatures.
Oh, that's up there by the harp, yeah. So really, it would just be more for, like, let's say someone's concentrating on something. I don't know, maybe this would help them continue concentrating or not get turned or whatever. I don't know.
It's possible, it's possible it could break the effect, but you just have no idea without trying it.
What are our other options?
So there's that.
Beat the hell out of the warlock, and hopefully it'll break the spell.
We can use the wolf, or whatever, the 1d4 wolves.
To annoy them?
I do also have suggestion and charm person, so maybe we could make him be willing to do something.
Totally for annoyance. And then, what? Don't we have some soiree? You have a silence, right? Maybe we could try and preemptively stop the bard or the warlock from using their magic.
I don't have silence. I only have counterspell.
I have silence.
I didn't realize. I heard one of you guys. I guess I misheard. I mean,
if I do silence, it's going to take out me from doing stuff too.
Oh, because you're concentrating on it?
Don't think it requires concentration. I think that is last. Let me look it up.
Or metagamingly, are you referring to spell slots?
No, I'm talking about concentration, but it lasts for 10 minutes. So I could cast it on somebody as we're heading in. You would be silent, and then if someone can get in close to them, that's the best bet. But if you're not going to be close to them, then there's no reason to use it, because I don't want to be where I can't cast spells to be able to heal people and stuff.
So if you cast that, you can't cast anything else, you're saying?
No, I can, but if I cast it on somebody that's not going to, in other words, if I cast it on you and you're not going to stay near them, it's not going to help.
Oh, because it's in proximity of whoever is going to be silent. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting, yeah. If that helps, I could try doing it, yeah.
I mean, that's silence, and one, it helps you move because you won't be making any sound. And then also you've got the fact that if you get up and close to people that can cast spells, if it requires a verbal component, they can't do it.
Is there a grappler in the group?
Someone who can hold down people?
Maybe it makes sense to have them put the silence on them if they're grappling. And then have that person grapple either the bard or the warlock with silence. Maybe the bard. I'm thinking, bards have to use their voice, right?
Yep. They can use their special, give bonuses to people.
They can, you're saying?
No, they couldn't, because if they couldn't talk. The bardic inspiration.
It's hard to inspire someone without being able to actually communicate.
You can inspire others through stirring words or music.
See?
So yeah, basically you'd have to grapple them, which would keep them from playing music. And then if you had silence on the grappler, then that would incapacitate the bard if all went well.
Yeah, grapple. Just remember, grapple. The only thing it does nowadays is just stops movement. So they could still try to cast, or like you said, silence on that would be perfect.
Yeah, so that would be. I mean, if they're willing to do that, it would just be 1-on-1 for that, and then you're saying really focus on the warlock until the barbarian becomes a problem.
I think we need to focus on the warlock just for the fact that he seems to be the most dangerous person.
I want to focus on the warlock because it's fucking Magnus and I want to kill him. Or I want to keep him alive enough so he can feel me cut that opal off his head, out of his head. But yeah, right, check.
What?
Do we have someone that wants to be able to grapple or try to grapple the bard?
I can try to grapple the bard if you want me to.
Do you mind if I put silence on you when we start heading down there?
I would be excited to be silent.
Okay.
I can also cast invisibility on you too,
Oh, nice.
so you can get really close, unless you trip and fall and make a fool of yourself.
I don't know if this is of much use if I'm wearing this heavy armor.
Well, if you're silent,
Silent invisibility, you can't have a better stealth.
yeah.
All right. I've never
That'll
done
ensure
this
you can
before,
get
but-
within a very close distance of the person.
Say again.
Did I cut out?
What? Yeah, what'd you say?
I just said that will be helpful to get close.
Gotcha.
Well, sounds great. So I can do that.
So
Try.
before you guys settle and enact your final plan, we'll take our mid-session break. Because if we get into this,
Fair
it could get a little hairy. So
I like Siggy's plan of trying to